Eddie Murphy says he did nothing wrong. He says he saw this person on the sidewalk looking rather restless. And all he did, he says, was offer them a ride.
He says he has often stopped to try to help prostitutes, but here is what he said in an impromptu news conference on the set of his new movie.
Being a good Samaritan blew up in my face, basically, that. I'm never giving anyone a lift again.
The internet is going crazy right now with one of the wildest stories we've seen in a minute. People are saying Eddie Murphy might have gotten away with murdering a trans woman. Leaked footage just resurfaced from way back in 1997.
Wait, what? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
That's right.
He's straight. I went, oh, please. Give me one for me.
Has he been with Eddie?
Murphy. Me?
Yeah. I'm not.
Showing Eddie with a well-known trans woman named Shalimar Sully, shortly before she died under seriously sketchy circumstances. Shalimar was a familiar face in LA's underground scene, especially on Santa Monica Boulevard. Folks have been whispering about this story for years.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. She goes, oh, Eddie Murphy. She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh, my God. So I go, what are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late? She goes, oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?
But now it's exploding again because brand new clips of Eddie and Shalimar just leaked. And that's not all. More old, grainy footage from the late 90s just came out, showing other trans women who were working the scene back then. And they're saying what many feared.
A clip of Eddie Murphy right now is going viral of him back in the 90s talking about how his wife and kids left the house. He woke up at 4 a.m. and wanted to go find a book to read and end up picking up a transvestite. And he felt sorry for the transvestite, so he wanted to give the transvestite a ride home because the transvestite was crying, on a wall. He told that story to the media, and they clapped. And this is going viral right now. Do you believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 a.m. with his wife gone out overseas? Man. I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's bush. I'm Eddie Murphy. I watch all this movie, man, but man, you don't accidentally pick up a transvestite. You know what I'm saying? That ain't happening, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it did, first of all, man, you know what I'm saying?
Right around.
You know what I'm saying? All the money he got, man, why would you be on the strip picking up a transvestite, whatever you call it. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it. I think it's bush. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy. But to me, that's some straight bush. And listen, man, you know what I'm saying? If I pick up, if I see a man, he dressed like a woman and I see him, I'm not going to feel sorry for him.
He was trying to be a good Samaritan.
No, but suppose he could be a robber. He might not be a real transvestite. I mean, he could be setting you up. A lot of dudes dress like women and they put makeup on and all that stuff and they robbing these tricks out here.
That Eddie and other big-name Hollywood players paid them off to stay silent. But wait, there's another theory that's spinning heads even more. Some people think there's a deeper reason why certain Hollywood stars, like Eddie, have more trans kids than the average person. Earlier this month, it came out that Eddie Murphy and Mel B's child, Angel, is now living as a trans man. While some are calling it a coincidence, others believe it's all connected. This theory claims that some celebs make secret deals, like agreeing to let one of their kids transition in exchange for protection or to keep dark secrets from the past buried. And with all these old tapes, payoffs, and clips suddenly resurfacing.
First of all, how I met my first transgendered person who had claimed she had been with Eddie Murphy in the past was I literally went to a bar that was, I can't remember the name of it. It was on Yucca, just south of Hollywood Boulevard, by that newsstand, World News, where Eddie had stopped that night.
Yes.
And I sat at the bar. One night goes by. I'm friends with the bartender now. I'm tipping him well. I'm talking to him, and he finally got me to one of the women, and she said, "Oh yeah, Yeah, I've been with Eddie. He likes, I mean, he has a foot fetish, and also Colonel Candy has been with him, and so and so and so and so. I went and I said, so what's the deal? And she said, well, the deal is that Eddie Murphy's lawyer, Marty Singer, who's in the news these days for other things, basically I told my story to the tabloids, and he paid me $15,000 to change my story. And I said, well, interesting. Okay, can you prove that? This woman kept records, and she handed me a check and her IRS, everything. She had everything. And it was signed by Marty Singer.
It's starting to look like Eddie's past might finally be catching up with him. And it gets even messier. A bunch of old interviews, media clips, and tabloid stories are making the rounds again, all pointing back to Eddie's very suspicious history with trans women. One of the most shocking receipts, an interview with the late trans actress Holly Woodlawn. Back in the early 80s, she sold a story to the National Enquirer.
Our whole world is being run by undercover that run around talking about how straight they are. People are so busy wasting their time bashing when they can be doing something a lot more positive. These are the people you have to worry about.
Claiming she had a personal encounter with Eddie. And in the same week, she filmed a full video interview where she spilled everything. Eddie quickly hit back with a defamation lawsuit, but that case, it mysteriously got dropped with no explanation. In that interview, Holly laughed at the idea that Eddie was straight.
Celebrities that go around in their cars, picking up, having with them, and then getting on national TV making fun of them. Everything you do in life is like a boomerang. When you throw it, it eventually comes back.
Which is what he claimed publicly after getting caught with another trans woman on Santa Monica Boulevard. She even hinted that she had hooked up with him herself at one point. That wasn't just gossip. It was straight up a glimpse into something Hollywood clearly didn't want out there. And when Holly brought up a street worker Eddie picked up at 4 a.m.
You understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things would become popular in the future.
She wasn't being vague. She was talking about Shalimar. Just recently, old paparazzi footage popped up showing the exact moment police pulled over Eddie's SUV. And sitting right there in the passenger seat was 20-year-old Shalimar Suley, a known trans street worker at the time. Here's how it went down. Shalimar, who was Samoan-born and crowned Miss Island Queen in 1993, had moved to LA to chase dreams of becoming a fashion designer. When that didn't pan out, she ended up on Santa Monica Boulevard, where many trans women worked. Cops already knew her name, and on May 2nd, 1997, LAPD spotted her getting into Eddie's car. They pulled him over within minutes and questioned him for 30 minutes. And get this, Eddie's excuse? He told police he was just giving her a ride home. Then later, he claimed he didn't know she was biologically male. Even though Eddie was eventually let go that night, things took a way different turn for Shalimar. She got arrested on an outstanding warrant, and boom, just like that, her name was all over the national headlines. Reporters and paparazzi were on her like sharks, chasing her from jail to court hearings. The media frenzy was insane, and Shalimar found herself at the center of a firestorm. Meanwhile, Eddie went full PR mode, flashing that Hollywood charm, smiling for the cameras, and pushing this good guy act. He claimed he was just being a kind soul, helping someone in need. But then he took it even further into the land of bizarre.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that went all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning.
Because what he said next had people scratching their heads for decades. Eddie told Ed Gordon in an interview that the only reason he was out at 4 in the morning was, wait for it, to find a book to read. No joke, he said he was cruising the Hollywood Strip in the middle of the night just looking for reading material. Who even believes that? His then-wife, Nicole Mitchell, was overseas at the time.
Many conspiracies came out that Murphy had Shalimar ended because her death just didn't make sense.
You believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 in the morning with his wife gone out overseas? I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's bullshit. I'm Eddie Murphy. I watch all this movie, man, but man, you don't accidentally pick up a transvestite.
So according to Eddie, he figured he'd take a solo ride to hunt down a novel. Yeah, okay. Fast forward to today, and with all these old clips and witness stories popping up again, that book excuse sounds even more ridiculous. Even Pimpin' Ken weighed in during an interview with Real Life Productions, saying straight up, Eddie knows nobody ever bought that book story, and he's right. But this is where things take a sharp, dark turn. Almost exactly a year after that infamous night with Eddie,
Big-time celebrities that go around in their cars picking up trans, having sex with them and then getting on national TV making fun of them. Our whole world is being run by undercover fags that run around talking about how straight they are.
tragedy struck. On the morning of April 22nd, 1998, a dog walker found Shalimar's lifeless body on the sidewalk outside her apartment in Koreatown, Los Angeles. She was gone. According to the police, Shalimar had fallen from the 5th floor. The cause of death was head trauma, and the autopsy showed she had no drugs or alcohol in her system. They called it an accident.
He is guilty of no misconduct, but there was a warrant out for the alleged prostitute. A judge has ordered that man, 20-year-old Addison Ciuli, to serve 90 days in jail.
Case closed, but there was one chilling detail. The coroner's report mentioned that a neighbor heard a scream around 5 a.m., right around the time she died. And that detail, that's what made people stop and think, wait a minute, what really happened here? Shalimar's friends and family were never convinced it was just a freak fall. Her close friend Viva, a well-known drag queen,
Oh yeah, after all these years that I just, I was thinking, and they all went, what? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
right.
He's straight. I went, oh, please. Didn't think for
Wait a minute. What do you think he was doing? What do you think the situation was? Let me hear your scenario.
Oh, not only Eddie Murphy,
Many others. I know a lot of girls.
That
know a lot of girls.
What's the other? Eddie Murphy got arrested with a transvestite, transsexual prostitute. Okay, well, goody. That means she's gonna make some money, and he gets what he deserves. That's all.
Good.
Yeah,
that made him
even a bigger star. Yeah, and the poor little girl that's like crawling streets at 4 o'clock in the morning to earn a living.
Like Divine.
Like what's his name?
Divine Brown.
Divine Brown.
Yeah.
She made a lot of money.
Yeah.
He should go right to all of the papers.
you could get the same thing. You could be the same kind of thing.
But I don't want that.
But
I don't need it. I don't need
She doesn't need the money.
Hollywood Lawn has
She doesn't need the money.
It's the dirt tell she's been to bed with Eddie Murphy. And who else have you been to bed with?
In bed with
Has she been with Eddie?
Murphy? Me?
Yeah. I'm not
Now,
sorry.
be honest, Hollywood Lawn. Now, be
My
honest with
lips are
me. Look
sick.
at me, girl. Look at me careful. Now, did you been to bed with some ugly stars at Hollywood now? You know
She
you
my
have.
lady.
I have been
She has
in bed
too.
with a lot of sleazy
Like
girls.
sleazy. But
told the Village Voice, unfortunately, the cops don't want to investigate. To them, it's just another hooker. Viva said it never made sense. She was sure someone had hurt Shalimar. Why haven't the cops looked into these things? She asked. And it gets even more disturbing. A lot of girls who used to work the same streets as Shalimar claim she had been getting threats ever since that night with Eddie. Random strangers would walk up and tell her to keep her mouth shut. She got so spooked that she started moving around constantly, convinced someone was watching her. Her brother David told Globe magazine that she was terrified, that just hearing Eddie Murphy's name made her panic. She believed a hitman was after her, and here's where it all starts to tie together. There were rumors that Shalimar was getting ready to spill everything. She'd already talked to the National Enquirer while she was locked up, and the money they gave her was what she used to make bail. In that interview, she straight up said Eddie's Good Samaritan story was fake. She insisted he had other motives that night, and that the area he picked her up in was notorious for being a trans street worker hotspot. According to Shalimar herself, the only reason Eddie Murphy didn't get busted for solicitation that night.
Oh yeah, after all these years that I just, I just think, and they all went, "What? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
right.
He's straight." I went, "Oh, please, give me for
Said you were really good. Good. What do you think he was? What do you think the situation was? Let me hear your scenario.
Oh, not only Eddie Murphy,
There's
many
his
others. I know a lot of
girlfriend.
girls. I know a lot of girls. What's the other? Eddie Murphy got arrested with a transvestite type transsexual prostitute. Okay, well, goody. That means she's gonna make some money, and he gets what he deserves. That's how.
Good.
Yeah, that made him even a bigger star. Yeah, and the poor little girl that's like crawling streets at 4:00 in the morning to earn a living.
Like Divine.
Like what's his name?
Divine Brown.
Divine Brown.
Yeah.
She made a lot of money.
Yeah.
He should go right to all of the
So you
papers.
could get the same thing. You could be the same kind of thing.
But I don't want that.
But
I
you're
don't
gonna.
need it. I don't need
She doesn't need the money.
Hollywood Lawn is
She doesn't need the money.
The dirt tell she's been to bed with Eddie Murphy. And who else have you been to bed with?
In bed with her.
Has she been with Eddie?
Murphy? Me?
Yeah. I'm not
Now,
sorry.
be honest, Hollywood Lawn. Now, be
My
honest with
lips
me.
are
Look
sick.
at me, girl. Look at me careful. Now, did you been to bed with some of these stars in Hollywood now? You know
She
you
in
have.
Marlene.
I have been.
She has
been
too.
in a lot of sleazy
Like
things.
sleazy.
Was because of his fame. She told the National Enquirer, "It's unfair. I went to jail while Eddie Murphy walked away spot-free." That one sentence lit the whole situation on fire, and suddenly dozens of other trans women started stepping forward with their own stories about run-ins with Eddie. And what did Eddie do? He fired back with lawsuits, million-dollar ones, aimed at the Globe, National Enquirer, and even the New York Times. He claimed they were spreading lies about him. But here's where things get real shady. Every single one of those lawsuits ended up getting dropped or quietly settled out of court. Just like that, poof, gone. And the timing, brutal. All of this was blowing up right when Eddie was trying to save his career after a string of flops. Some insiders, including lawyers for the tabloids, said Eddie dropped the cases because he was scared that going to trial might push even more women to come forward. And honestly, that theory makes sense. But Eddie didn't stop there. He pulled out the big guns. He hired high-powered attorney Marty Singer, the same lawyer big-time celebs call when scandals hit. Then he brought in Paul Baresi, a private investigator known for cleaning up messes in Hollywood. Their mission? Track down every trans woman who had spoken up and make it all disappear. Baresi reportedly contacted these women and offered them hush money to backtrack their stories. Not only that, he had them sign affidavits and film apology-style videos, claiming their original accusations weren't true. But investigative journalist Mark Ebner said one of these women actually showed him IRS documents, proving Singer's firm paid her $15,000 to walk back her story about hooking up with Eddie. For years, Eddie's team worked hard to erase the scandal, pulling interviews, cleaning up headlines, making sure all those receipts vanished from the public eye. His PR squad went all in trying to bury it. But now, the truth is leaking out all over again. One of the biggest resurfacings came from a powerful old interview with the late Octavia St. Laurent, a beloved trans icon and activist. She didn't name Eddie outright. but everyone knew who she was shading. Octavia talked about how Hollywood is full of men who act straight in public, bash the LGBTQ+ community, but secretly hook up with gay and trans people behind the scenes. She directly referenced the Shalimar situation and even brought up Eddie's film Boomerang, where he made jokes mocking trans women. Octavia laid it all out, saying these men hide behind their ladies' man image, flaunting baby mamas and relationships to cover up their real lives. And when they feel shame, they take it out on the women they date. She even said, "Look at Diddy as a prime example, dragging the pattern into the spotlight." And with Eddie, after the heat of the scandal, it's like he overcompensated overnight. Dudes started popping up with one girlfriend after another, always arm in arm with a different woman. And now, he's got 10 kids with 5 different women. But this saga doesn't end there. Now people are connecting the dots again after a new revelation dropped. One of Eddie's daughters, 18-year-old Angel, whose mom is none other than Spice Girl Mel B, is now living as a trans man. That news reignited every single theory out there. People are saying it's not just a coincidence. It might be part of a pattern that's been hiding in plain sight for years. So here's the latest twist. Angel, who was born female, recently updated the bio on her personal Instagram and now goes by he, him pronouns. That's right.
Murphy has a run-in with the law this morning. In this case, it involves a transvestite prostitute. Reporter Juan Fernandez is live in Hollywood, California with the latest for us tonight. Juan?
Well, Al, when Eddie Murphy picked up this Hollywood hooker, he had no idea that right behind him were a pair of Vice cops.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Ciuli was cuffed and hauled away. A warrant was already out for his arrest.
And on May 29th, Judge Barry Taylor issued a warrant in the amount of $15,000 for his arrest and revoked his probation. He was brought to court today on that warrant.
Eddie Murphy and Mel B's 18-year-old has now come out as a trans man. And while a lot of people are sending love and support, others started digging up that old Hollywood rumor again. The one that claims some celebrities make secret deals to raise at least one of their kids as trans. Now, yeah, some folks dismiss that as just another wild conspiracy, but there's a whole crowd out here saying, nah, something's off. They're pointing out that way more celebrities seem to have trans kids compared to the general public. And guess what? Even Cat Williams recently brought this up. He said he called it years ago, saying the whole thing would turn into a Hollywood trend. But Cat didn't stop there. He hinted that there might be something ritualistic going on, maybe even something darker. He alluded to ideas of power, protection, and fame being tied to these so-called deals. Some say it's all part of a bigger system, one the public isn't meant to fully understand. So whether you're team coincidence or team something shady's happening, you can't ignore the timing. From Eddie's old scandal with Shalimar to her suspicious death, and now to Angel's transition, people are side-eyeing this whole situation hard. What do you think? Was Shalimar's death really just an accident, or was something more sinister going on? And do you buy into the theory that some celebs make secret pacts involving their kids? Drop your take in the comments below. Whose side are you on? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eye-opening stories just like this.